Hello and welcome everybody to another StarCraft 2 cast by Glitch. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different, and you know what, real quick, I'm going to announce this player in the bottom right hand corner position of Antiga Shipyards as the Purple Terran. Playing from Team ESC Gaming, we have GLiTCHStarCraft. And you know what, that's the last thing you're ever going to see from him this game, because today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to tell you right now, finding replays has been a little bit tricky lately. It's been kind of difficult just because MLG's been going on, and anytime there's an MLG going on, the replays kind of get sparse a little bit. So what I did today is I actually downloaded a couple of games from the ZOTAC Cup. I downloaded 2 games, both of which are best of ones, and I am only going to be looking at these games from the perspective of one of the players. Both of the best of ones are between SLiDeR and GLiTCH, but I'm going to tell you right now, SLiDeR wins this game, and GLiTCH is going to win the next one. But I want to do a little bit more of an analytical view of these 2 games, and I'm going to see, let me know how well you guys like these, because I was thinking about doing these. I've kind of been wanting to do something that's a little bit more in-depth, a little bit more detailed, and it's really, really hard to do that when you have a cast of just a standard game, just because you're trying to pay attention to both sides, and you never really look at any one side particularly closely. So I've kind of always wanted to do something that's a little bit more like Day 9, but not an hour long. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think about this. I have already watched this game, and I'm going to tell you guys actually what SLiDeR is going to be doing here. SLiDeR is going to be going for a fast expansion, and then he's going to go for a 5-gate, 2 Colossus timing attack with extended thermal lance. And so we're going to just be taking a look at how exactly SLiDeR is going to be doing that. Now, I'm not going to be talking about super ultra specifics. I'm going to talk about some specifics when I can, but it's going to be a little bit more broad, a little bit more general. Talk kind of generally about when he gets his warp gates and what he's building based on what he sees. So right now SLiDeR is going to be scouting, and actually this is actually the one little mistake here made by SLiDeR. On Antiga Shipyards, I believe even in the BattleNet version, you can only spawn cross positions on this map. And looks like actually GLiTCH is actually going to be scouting the close ground positions as well. Now, SLiDeR is just now going to be poking into the natural, and he's going to see 1 Marine. He's going to see 1 Marine. So far, he's gotten up a gateway, and he's gotten up his cybernetics core, very normal timed, and he's got his gas geyser now coming up here, but no units yet being produced out of this gateway. Saving up just a tiny bit of chrono boost, a little bit of chrono boost, because if his opponent decides to get aggressive, he's going to need to be able to chrono boost out some units very fast. He's going to try to drop this pylon down here in the main, but GLiTCH is going to end up spotting this. I like this pylon. Why? Because he saw that one early Marine kind of moving out, and so he said, you know what, if that 1 Marine is moving out, it could be that GLiTCH's trying to get aggressive, and I might need to throw down a pylon here to get aggressive and go for some kind of a counterattack. I can just warp a stalker in behind his attack here and start to take out things and cut off reinforcements. I really like that, but since GLiTCH did scout it with that Marine, he did cancel it right away. Now, again, he lost his scouting probe right now, and he hasn't scouted much other than this 1 barracks, so he's going to start to feel like his opponent is probably going to be getting aggressive here. 1 barracks with Tech Lab means that he's going for upgrades, and I'm going to leave this production tab. You can actually see what GLiTCH is doing if you are really curious to know. There is actually a Reaper on the way. He's going to be getting concussive shell and pushing out with 2 Marauders, but SLiDeR, having seen that Marine moving out a little bit early and seeing that barracks with a Tech Lab, that pretty much means early aggression. So he's going to be getting out Stalkers. He got out Stalkers because Stalkers are very good at being defensive and getting some good scouting information if he needs to get them out. Otherwise, notice he just now dropped down a Nexus. Otherwise, he would have preferred for these 2 Stalkers to have been sentries, because that would have meant that this Nexus is going to be faster. But the fact that he saw early aggression out of his opponent means that he's going to be throwing down Stalkers instead so that he can defend off these pushes. He's going to be placing a pylon here in the forward position. I like this because this is going to give him vision on the ramp, and it's going to allow him to warp in down there if he needs to as well. Now, GLiTCH is going to end up moving in here and trying to pick off some of these units. Ends up picking off 1 Stalker, but he did manage to get in a sentry behind that so he could start to force field off the ramp. 1 Reaper does move in through the back, just now throwing down 2 more gateways after getting up this Nexus. These 2 Marauders are going to continue to pound out on that Nexus a little bit, and this Reaper is going to continue to be a little bit annoying, but SLiDER's going to handle it just fine. He's going to actually try to deal with that Reaper with just workers while he leaves these at the front, because he doesn't want those Marauders getting up into the main. and he knows his Nexus can take quite a bit of damage, and he actually ends up getting a nice surround there on the Reaper, and does end up picking it off. Now he does start to chase these Marauders, loses a couple of Stalkers there, or just one, I guess. He lost one on the low ground as he warped in a Stalker there to try to catch those units on the way out, and he's now going to be moving across the map with these couple Stalkers to try to poke into his opponent's base, because once again, he has no scouting information right now. Notice though, inactive warp gates. He's not using these warp gates at all. I think he's actually going to warp in a round of Zealots, I think, very soon. He's warping in sentries. Warping in sentries somewhere. Where are those sentries that he's warping in? Oh, they're right there. He's warping in a couple of sentries, again, to be defensive, because he's moving out with these Stalkers. Going to poke in, see these bunkers. This means that Goody is being defensive, and oh no, SLiDER's actually going to lose another Stalker there. Boo, so sad, no good. But these bunkers are a critical thing. Why? Because it means that Goody's probably got an expansion up here and he's playing defensive. So he's not being aggressive at all. And so he's now throwing down his robotics facility. And again, he's got these warp gates up that he's not really being very active. He built them in case he needs to produce units out of them. If he poked in here and saw lots and lots of units getting ready to attack or moving across the map, he could start to produce out of these warp gates, start to chrono boost them a lot, and start to get out a lot of things out. But in the meantime, he's just spending it when he's got some extra money to get up extra units that he needs to. As we can see, he's going to be getting up some Zealots here because he's been going kind of gas heavy on his buildings. He's got a robotics facility, and he's just now throwing down the robotics bay. So he's getting some Zealots, but now he's going to be following that up with lots of gateways. Going to be getting up all the way up to 5 gateways now that he's got his robotics facility and his robotics bay up. Still just producing only a few units. Still got sentries up here early to get save up some minerals. And then he's got a few Zealots here in case that his opponent does decide to be aggressive. Getting these Stalkers, or getting these sentries, means that he can just force field, and that these Zealots will be able to deal damage to Marines and Marauders without them having to be able to kite. So these sentries are what allows him to produce these Zealots, which are going to be cheaper than Stalkers in minerals and allow him to get up more gateways. Really, really like that. First thing we see out of that robotic facility, Observer. Why? Because we want to play it safe, and we want to know what your opponent is doing. You don't want to just blindly go for some kind of attack. You don't want to have to just get to your opponent's base and realize, oh my god, this attack is not going to work out at all. So the fact that he hasn't been able to get too much scouting info on his opponent, doesn't really know what he's going for, means that he's going to be getting this Observer. I kind of think he'd probably just get this Observer anyway, because I think that's a very good Observer to see, but now he's going to be seeing that Goody is actually getting a little bit aggressive here and moving out, so he's now going to be pulling back, and now we're going to start to see these warp gates get a little bit more active. We do see extended thermal lance already started, and a Colossus is now on the way. But now you can see that his warp gates are going to start to get very, very active as he's going to start to produce out of these as constantly as he can, because he knows that this big attack is coming. He's got a good-sized army right now to be able to deal with what he saw, and so he's going to start to move out. He has now placed a forward pylon here in a position to start warping in at the front. And what we're going to see here from SLiDER is that he's actually not going to be using all 5 of these warp gates constantly. He's going to still be only using them lightly because he's spending his money on getting up Colossi and other units. Still, he has stopped production. There's actually a drop going down in the main. I'm not going to ignore this too much. He's going to deal with it with this one Colossus that comes out. I'm going to be more focused on that because that's not something you really have to worry about. Sure, if you get dropped, that's bad, that's horrible. It's not something that's going to happen every game though, and it's not really important to the strategy that we're looking at. There we go. Looks like that Colossus is going to be able to pick off all those Marines, and now he's going to be just pulling back. He's going to end up leaving a couple of Zealots and things there behind to deal with that drop, but I'm going to focus more on what's going on down here. So now that he's here, and he's waiting for that second Colossus to arrive, now we're going to see a ton of production. We can see that he's going to stop producing workers completely and focus completely on getting tons and tons of warp gate units out, and that's going to be his complete focus here, as he wants to all of a sudden come forward with a big, huge swell of units, and we're just going to see his food count just jump like crazy as he gets out lots of units. Actually, he's supply blocking himself there a little bit, but he's continuing to now get very, very active warp gates. And how about his composition? His composition right now, few Zealots to take damage, lots of sentries that have been up for force fields, and now going very, very heavy Stalkers to deal damage. Wants to be able to deal damage, and these Colossi, of course, with extended thermal lance are going to be very strong against the bioforces that he encounters here from Goody, because of course he has seen that the bioforces from Goody are pretty high right now. He's going to be poking in first with these Colossi. I really like this from SLiDER, because these Colossi have that extended thermal lance, and they also give vision onto the high ground. So he can start to harass from far away, and now as we can see, he's going to be moving in here. Goody not going to have the best Viking control, moving all his Vikings right over all the Stalkers. The Stalkers are going to end up picking him off. Beautiful force fields going off to block repairs from going down on this bunker and preventing reinforcements from getting out. And in the meantime, he's going to deal lots of damage, and in the back, behind that, warping in some Zealots, but once he feels like he's broken the front, he's going to start to warp in lots and lots of Stalkers. Now, if he was having trouble breaking that front and there was still a lot of Marine Marauder out here, he'd be warping in just pure Zealot. Zealot, Zealot, Zealot to absorb a lot of damage from his opponent, getting lots and lots of Zealots out on the field. But of course, since he did break the front, he started to produce Zealots and then said, you know what, no, I think I've got this, so I need units that are going to kill my opponent faster because I think I've killed the bulk of his army, so I need damage dealing units, so I start warping in those Stalkers, and that's pretty much that. Nice and simple, nice and easy. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We are now going to be going into a game of goodies, where Goody is actually going to be beating SLiDeR. So we're going to be taking a look at that game in just a moment. Yeah, that's it. So stick around if you want to see a game won by Goody now.